Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back to life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the pod. My name is Heather, and who are you fellas?
Howdy there, Heather. It's me, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey everybody, Sam is here today.
Hi, Sam. Jamie, Sam also already commented on this in the office, but you are wearing a hat today.
Yeah.
That's not
Typical.
a typical Jamie move.
I like it.
It's not. I always wear one when I'm motorcycling
Oh,
because you got helmet head
Yeah, so
all
you have
the
to
time.
have it
So
after
you
your helmet's off.
Gotta have a hat.
That's smart.
Similar thing this morning. I woke up around 3:30.
this is becoming a pattern.
Well, I was taking someone to the train station.
Oh, that's so nice
So
of
I
you.
picked them up at 4. Oh no, I left my house at 4. So I got up at 3:30, and I didn't want to wake Bonnie up. So I got my shower last night, went to bed, and woke up with hair that was just everywhere. 'Cause-
Okay.
Does that mean Fritz didn't get his walk?
No, Bonnie walked Fritz.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so I left to go pick up friends, take them to the train station, got to work around 5.
You must really like these friends.
Not really.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they must have paid you then. It's the only way I'm getting up at 4 a.m.
Yeah. So that's
good.
that's why I'm wearing a hat.
Do you think those friends listen to the podcast?
They do.
I know
yeah.
they do.
Religiously.
So now they know where they stand with you.
Oh, and so I drop them at the train station and come to work, and because I figured I might as well I'm gonna work from 5 to noon today. That's
Yeah.
kind of my plan. So I'm almost to the College Drive exit. Train station's in Newport News. I get a call.
Oh no.
You're gonna hate me for this. I left my cell phone in the
No.
pocket of your door.
Oh,
boy.
these people.
And it's not like
My
everyone's
goodness.
on their way to work at the shipyard at that time.
Right.
So traffic.
Oh, it was the Norfolk train station?
No,
was Newport News.
Oh, Newport News,
yeah.
okay.
So I had to navigate on the way back through shipyard traffic. Then I had to go back again through shipyard traffic and then back
Did you
through
say
shipyard
you're
traffic.
right?
That's-
I do hate you.
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
why
I
they
did
that's why you
pretty
don't like
much.
them anymore.
I pretty much did. So yeah, that's why I don't
You did like them
I
at
did
4
like
a.m.,
them before.
But by 5 a.m. you didn't like
I
them.
did not like
Oh
them.
man.
Did you say you got all the way back to church?
I was at the College Drive
Oh
exit when they called. Yeah.
They owe you.
That's exactly what he said. Yeah. I owe you big time.
You're like, yep.
I just
One thing you
Have
can
a
learn
good
from
time.
me, you need to
That's
hold
what I
that grudge.
yeah,
Don't waste that.
I'm currently going through a devotional. My morning devotional thing that I do is the theme for the last few weeks has been forgiveness.
Oh.
So I'm going to
see,
start over from the beginning and
Yeah.
work it through with this particular incident in mind.
And
Just try to see if I can work through it.
And that
gosh.
doesn't get fixed just by like them getting you a little gift on their trip. This is deeper than that.
No,
hold on to
today's episode was the empty chair, where you talk to the person who offended you.
Well, we have an empty
I
space
know.
right here.
Yeah,
I don't think I
not
should
yet.
do it
It's not ready yet.
live on the pod.
Oh, okay. Well, if you needed to
Yeah.
come in here, I'm sure Jeremy would be totally fine
Yeah.
with you using this space.
That's
to-
probably not in the book.
to work it
Empty
out.
chair, but everybody else listening.
Right. I don't think so. It would
Oh,
be
man.
it would be fun though.
Knowing this person, I'm sure he's mortified.
Yeah.
He's even
Yes.
more mortified that we are talking about it this long on a podcast.
Yeah, it's the opening. I love that.
So great.
Yeah.
So let's back things up a little bit. What
right.
else did you guys do this weekend?
So I'm full of surprises today. You're not going to believe
Oh
this.
my
I
gosh.
love this.
So none of this is going to sound like me.
Okay. Oh,
And
I'm ready.
I don't
for
know
this.
why. I don't even know why. So last week I was listening to NPR because that's what old people do. They listen
Obviously.
to right. So I'm listening to NPR and I hear this event being promoted at
Shut
one
your
of the
face
things. Yeah.
right now.
So I was like, Bonnie and I are kind of in a rut. You know, we do the same thing. Oh, we go to
We know. We've heard.
go to a nice we go to a nice restaurant on
Every
Friday.
Monday we
We do
hear.
chores on
Everybody
Saturday.
knows
Right.
we're in a rut.
Right. So that 35 years in, we're stuck. So I hear this thing and I'm like, that would be kind of fun. Maybe we should do that. So we went to the Smart Mouth Brewery in Virginia Beach for it's called
You had to write it down.
I had to write it down. The Bluegrass and Barbecue.
Oh, fun.
Jamie Stewart,
Yeah.
who are you?
So bluegrass
It was
music.
bluegrass
and-
music. It reminded me of when my mom lived in Asheville for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they had the Shindig on the Green is what they had in the summertime. And there'd be bluegrass musicians everywhere playing and all
That's
this
cool,
stuff.
actually.
It was super fun. So we hung
Was
out
that
for a
Saturday?
few hours. Yeah, that was Saturday
Okay.
evening. We went down there. Yeah.
Oh.
First time to Smart Mouth. It was very it was very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time.
And
That's awesome.
It was so hot on Saturday. But
By
it cooled
evening, it
off.
was cool.
But
Yeah,
cooled
it was
off,
pretty comfortable.
So that was good. That was that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, it was really
Very
nice.
good.
Had a great time.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, this is.
How was the barbecue?
It wasn't great. We got
Okay,
the
good.
we ordered the
good.
pizza.
All right.
We went over. They had this barbecue tent set up, but it looked it was not
awesome.
very inviting, and no one was even like, "Hey, we're glad you're here. Can we help you?" They just were.
Oh.
So we went in and ordered pizza instead, and the pizza was great.
So
yeah,
are
that's
you
Chelsea
now-
Bakehouse Pizza.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's where that's at. Okay.
And
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that
at
place is
Elation
awesome.
and at Smart Mouth.
so Bonnie asked.
That's the brick oven.
Yeah. So Bonnie asked if they had gluten free, and they said we do,
Of course, Bonnie.
but he said we use a sourdough bread, and if you don't have a gluten allergy, if you just have gluten sensitivities, it's all organic. It's the sourdough, blah blah blah. Most people who have gluten sensitivities are able to eat it, and so Bonnie took a
That
chance,
seems risky.
and it was fine.
She was fine.
That's
Oh, good.
awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, maybe-
we can eat that pizza.
Right, and you don't even have to go all the way to Virginia Beach. You can just go
over-
across the
Yeah.
Midtown.
Yeah.
And Chelsea Bakehouse.
We'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Super
All
fun.
right. Well, when you were talking about the barbecue, I was worried that you're going to be like, this is why I don't do things. This is why I don't go out and we don't try new things. But it was a good experience.
No, it was a great experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really
Very
had
good.
a lot of fun.
Wow.
Well, speaking of bad experiences, the Hagers didn't have internet for 3 days this weekend.
Oh man, how'd you survive?
We had to hang out together.
Oh my goodness.
this is back to like
I saw more of my
Pandemic
daughter, my
stage.
youngest daughter, Emma, than I have in probably a year. She was just always there. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, we just didn't have internet.
So
And
it's with FiOS.
it's Verizon.
which is
yeah.
supposed to be like underground and
It's been great.
always work.
Now, I think they're adding some underground work across the street from where we are.
Oh.
So I think they just had to like shut it off while they ran all new lines or something. I don't know.
So my daughter
Not a
Sarah
professional.
just recently, or in the last year, switched from Cox to FiOS at her apartment, and it has been nothing but problematic.
Really?
since the move.
Really?
Yes.
Well, see, I've had
And she works from home on Thursdays and Fridays and
is a
needs
problem.
the internet, and so she ends up having
Yeah.
to pack up and go to work.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
annoying.
I mean,
Yeah,
I half
super
joke about it because it's like we can figure out things to do, but all the kids' homework stuff is all online.
Well, yeah.
Like,
Right.
they get everything off.
Yeah.
So it was like we just had to hotspot stuff, and it was a real problem, but we survived.
Well, the government is funding internet connections to families that don't have any, so maybe you can get on
I should
the.
have signed
yeah,
up
you
for
should
that.
sign up
All
for
right.
that.
I was gonna get the Starlink, Elon's. Up in the,
You should
it
send
would
them an
never
email.
never be a problem.
Oh wait,
Nope.
you can't. You can send them a text.
I'll get on X and send them.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'll
just
DM
send them
them.
a direct message. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we played card games. Mason had football on Saturday. That's why I was saying in the middle of the day it was hot.
Yeah,
And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And
Sunday was super hot. Also,
so
Yes.
hot. Yes.
We were out on the boat for most of the afternoon on Saturday, which
Is the water cold?
the water is cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a lovely day to be on the
Yeah,
boat.
sure.
Spencer and Kendra came with us and we went up past like where Decoys is and then
Whoa,
came
that's a
back
long
down
boat ride.
and went over to Decoys for a little bit. And then we ran into some other friends out on the water. So that was fun. But it was like so weird to be out on the water in the end of October.
Yeah.
right.
And like, but it was
Felt
so
like a
beautiful
summer
because
day.
you could see like the trees turning and all that kind of stuff from the water. It was lovely.
It's gonna
but
change tomorrow.
Yeah, gonna be
Yeah.
cool again.
50 degrees tomorrow.
I know,
Yeah.
and a lot of rain.
Wow.
Hope it keeps the trick or treaters away.
Guys, I have to tell you about a place.
You are so old.
I
I
mean,
got NPR to listen to tonight.
I just gave away hundreds of
Okay,
dollars.
we're not
of
talking
candy.
about that yet. First, I want to tell you
I gotta do it again.
about this place we went in Virginia Beach called Aloha
Oh,
Snacks.
sorry, you weren't done.
Have you been to Aloha Snacks?
I don't think so.
I thought you talked about it one time, but
Nope.
maybe not.
Wait,
So
have I been there?
Maybe it's on Laskin.
Is it a little tiny like
It
restaurant?
used to be. Yeah, it used to be a dry cleaner, I think.
I've been there.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It is delicious.
Yes.
We went on Friday.
It's a restaurant
yeah.
and
It
it's
is.
called Snacks.
It's called Aloha Snacks.
I know, but it seems like if you're a restaurant, you wouldn't advertise your name as I'm giving out snacks.
It's kind of like they have poke bowls and
Yes.
lumpia and
Yeah, I've been there. It's really good. Yeah,
It's delicious.
it is. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like a walk up to the counter and order, and then they'll bring
yeah,
your food out.
it's very cash.
yeah, super.
Feels a little
super
like
small,
almost food trucky, but
okay.
it's
You
in
know.
a building.
but not a truck.
Right.
So a
But it
restaurant.
feels food trucky.
Food truck
Yeah, I
minus
agree
the
with
truck.
I actually
it-
understand what
So a
you're saying.
restaurant.
I understand what you're saying. Brick and mortar, but yeah,
Yeah.
food truckish.
Very food truckish. Yeah. It's the way that all food bloggers are talking about
Yeah.
restaurants now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is really good.
So yeah, go
Nice.
there. Okay, so yesterday was the hottest day on earth.
Yeah.
It was so hot. It
Jeremy agrees.
It seems like every year for the fall festival, it's like the warmest day.
I have noticed that. It
Yeah.
also it had reminiscent of when we had the Christmas Eve that was like 92
Yes.
degrees.
It was
Flip
very
flops,
much like that.
like
Everyone's
Hawaiian
opening
shirts
gifts in their
for Christmas.
shorts and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had fall festival and man, we had an amazing turnout.
Seemed like it.
Yeah.
I only got to hang out in the trunk or treat area, so I didn't get to experience the rest
Yeah.
of it. But it
I walked around a lot and
felt like a lot of
I'm
people.
sure
Yeah.
we'll get to it, but I think it was like because Megan scheduled it so well and had everything like where it needed to be and everybody doing their thing. It was spread out too,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like
Yeah.
people were crammed all together. You
Yep.
could go to different things. The Pine Derby cars and
Yes,
stuff
the
was
Pinewood
awesome.
Derby was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, all winners were girls.
I heard.
Yeah.
That's
Girl
true.
power.
And
Girl power.
I wonder if
boy.
their dads made the car.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just
I don't think
asking.
You can't say that.
You can't say that.
We're gonna have to cut this part. He's been up since 4.
Right. 3:30.
You're
I've
borderline
been in
on
my
getting
car since
canceled
4.
right
No, I think the girls made it. They did
Okay,
a really
good.
good job. Yeah,
Good for them.
One was named Butterfly. I think Butterfly 1 was
Oh,
the name
okay.
of the car.
Well, I saw there was a young girl that came through the trunk or
Yeah.
treat with her trophy.
trophy?
Yeah, it was.
Was it
she
the tall one? Or,
I think so.
I think she came in second.
She was very
maybe
excited.
It was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fast.
Super
Awesome.
fun.
Real fast.
Yeah.
And I will say about that, the BK was kind of in charge of that.
Yep.
They had it so together. It was so organized. They had like heats and like the lane set up, and Doug was doing all of his
Announcing and
his
stuff.
announcing.
Doug's so
and
good at that.
Jesus jukes around
Yes.
every race. Somehow he's preaching
Yeah.
another message on it.
I know it's amazing. I love Doug with
Yeah.
a microphone at an event
Yeah,
is
it's
just
great.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just kept coming up.
I don't
with
know
Just
how he does
ad-libbing,
it. Yeah.
ad-libbing
Yeah.
the whole time.
I know it's incredible.
It
Yeah.
was really good.
Do you know what would be really fun sometime is to have Doug and Martin ad-lib something
Oh my
together.
goodness, yeah, that'd be great.
It would probably be the longest event ever. Because
It would.
Oh, man,
we would
we
never
should-
get anything done.
Give them a podcast episode.
oh my gosh.
We can talk about whatever.
Yes.
Jeremy would
Yeah.
have to spend the night here. Jeez.
But it
Oh
was
my goodness.
great. And then all the cars, Jamie, you stuck it out with that whole motorcycle.
I
get up.
mean,
I couldn't believe you kept it on 90
I was
degrees
trying my best to stay
for the kids.
for the kids.
Yep.
You know, just for the kids.
that's who you are.
Yep.
That's who I am. But yeah, by the time I got done, I took my jacket off. My jacket was soaked, and my helmet, when I put it back on, it felt like I was putting a wet sponge on my head.
He was leaving as I was leaving, and
Yeah,
I was like,
so
I
gross.
cannot believe you left that on all day. And he said, yeah, this is like a sponge right now. And he's like squeezing it
was
over his
awful.
head. I was like,
Yeah.
ew,
It
I'm going to
was-
go away now.
It was so hot.
So hot, but it was great. I love
It was
seeing the
super
kids
fun.
come in their costumes.
Oh my gosh.
We were leading worship down in BK yesterday, and two of the boys had the rubber chicken costumes.
Yes. Yes.
that were like humongous.
I love a
Yeah.
blow up costume.
And
I think
yes,
they're hilarious.
And they're right in the center of as we're singing, and I'm singing this song and just giggling. Oh, it was awesome.
One of them came through the trunk or treat line,
Yeah.
and the person next to me asked if it was warm in the costume, but like you can see his face,
Yeah.
and it's like beet red.
Yes.
You know? Like,
They didn't. He did kept taking it off.
he was as hot as I was, guaranteed.
Oh, they're goobers.
Yeah,
too.
it was
they
great.
were so fun.
They're like headbutting each other while we're trying to sing. And I'm just laughing. It was awesome.
good.
Sam, the band did a pretty fun song yesterday to lead us into Fall Festival.
A lot asked if we wrote that. We did not. But that's what's great about having a network of churches. I'll plug ICN. But yeah, we got that idea a couple weeks ago, and the band did great with it. It was fun.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was really good.
All right, well, let's talk about the message from yesterday. Since we've talked about all the
that's
fun
a good
things
idea.
we did yesterday, we can talk about this too. We continued our series, Joyride. We're in week 5. And Jamie, you kind of opened the message talking about your many road trips to see the lovely Bonita.
Yes.
And in the early days, the Iron Butt Ride, you use these stories to illustrate an idea that didn't really make it into big idea caliber.
It was close.
It was close.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of things that were really good about it.
Right. So there's more joy in the ride when I have friends by my side.
I mean, that just sounds
such
so
a good,
Yeah.
rhyming, catchy.
Yep.
Feel like you want to say that?
Makes you want to smile.
So what makes that idea only half true and thus not usable as a big idea?
That's why I couldn't use it. Big ideas need to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was...
That is very good.
Yeah, this one was only half true. And it's because, I mean, I told another road trip story
Yeah.
to illustrate it. And it was 2 friends of mine. They were friends of mine.
Were.
Yeah, kind of like
After
this
the
morning.
spring trip. Yeah.
So we did a
they
road
forget
trip
their
to
phones,
Chicago back in the day to go to Willow Creek. And the whole way was like 2 toddlers
Yeah.
going after each other. I could not wait to get out of that car. So I had friends by my side, but I was miserable. So that's why I couldn't use that big idea
Right.
because it's just not always true. You don't need just somebody by your side. You need to have the right
one.
the right ones by your side.
So your actual big idea became your who determines your where.
Yeah.
So before digging into Paul's roadies, you said that you were hopeful that this study wouldn't just teach us what to look for in our friends, but who we should be for people in our lives. So why is it not only important to be concerned about the people we surround ourselves with, but even more important to be concerned about being the person that someone actually wants or needs in their circle?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time talking about like the 5 people, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So, you might need to find some new friends. And I think that's important. That's a good thing to talk about. But it's also important, especially in the context of Philippians 2. So like earlier in the chapter, it says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interest, but take an interest in others too. You must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. And so I think it's easy to do an inventory of our friends without doing a personal inventory. And I think, my hope was yesterday to kind of not just put your friends under the microscope, but put yourself in the mirror of reflection and determine, am I really the person that I need to be in my friendships? And bottom line is it's hard to make friends as an adult. We've talked about that before. There's all kinds of research on the whys behind that. And I hear a lot of people complain about the people around them, but the only person you really have any control of is yourself. So you can positively impact your friend circle without changing your friends just by being a better friend. So that was kind of my hope.
Yeah, I've noticed that just like personal life stories with friends is it's so much easier to look at them and be like, well, they might not be a good influence. I need to find somebody else. Or
Yeah.
that person does a good job. I need them to be in my circle. But it's so easy to forget that you're in their circle and
Right.
you have like you're
Right.
like they're doing the same thing to you.
Yep.
You kind of get rid of that like individual thing. You forget that, oh yeah,
Yep.
I'm actually affecting their circle too. So yeah, the mirror thing, it's really good.
What are some things that you guys have tried to, as you've learned this and just going through different friendships and stuff, what are some characteristics that you've grown into wanting to bring to your friendships?
Well, like get up
Sarcasm.
at 3:30 in the
Right.
morning and, go to the
Yeah.
train station twice.
Right.
Yeah.
And be real like,
Super
Just
okay with it.
Joyful about
Yeah,
it.
joyful
Joyful.
about it. Yeah, that's one of the things.
okay,
For
good.
instance.
You're doing a really great job at that. Sam, you got anything?
No, I think for me, it's seeing if they have a family, like how do they interact with their family? Like, what do other people say about, like, how do the other people view them? Where are they serving? Like, are they serving in church? Are they involved in different activities with the community? I think from like, that's like very outward, but like, that's a great place to start. Because obviously those relationships are going to get deeper as you start there. But if you start there, then I think it opens up a lot of other doors for deeper conversations. But I just think there's like pretty obvious things about you can see in someone's life and how they're living it just from an outward stance that can get you started with those kind of relationships. Which is why B groups are so good, because that's where that starts. It's just seeing how they're involved in it. Like someone showing up to a B group like regularly and being there, like you can already tell, okay, this is important to them. They're already plugged. Like that's a good place to start with some friendships.
Yeah.
As an adult, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jamie, you gave us a little bit of insight into Paul and Timothy's friendship. So, what is it about Timothy's character that we should want to emulate and also find in others?
Yeah, he says that no one is like Paul that shows a genuine interest in the welfare of others. And then he goes on to say that, most people are kind of in it for themselves. And so Timothy just demonstrates a selflessness that's pretty remarkable and is exactly what he described of Christ earlier in that hymn, which I really do think like the context of these two people that he's talking about, like he had just copied down this hymn. And so in his mind, he's thinking through that lens of who his friends are. And he's thinking, man, Timothy is a lot like who Jesus was, who wasn't just, he didn't just enter into the world and expect people to serve him. He came to serve others. And that's the kind of person that Timothy is.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how to add to that. I mean, he's a great dude. He just, for Paul to be connected with that, I mean, that obviously speaks volumes about his character as well. I just think, they just were really plugged in.
Yeah, I think it's also like really important, even how Paul like elevates Timothy, or just the way that he talks about him to other people. Like, I think that's something that we can do in our friendships, like letting our friends know like why they're important to us, and letting other people know that they're good friends and that they're good people. I think there's so much happens to destroy friendships when there's gossip that happens about friends.
Yeah.
But when you're constantly looking for the things in your friends that are like the good things, then that changes the conversation.
And then calling them out. Right.
Well, that's come up, like when you said that, like even being on staff, or not even, doesn't have to be on staff, but like when someone's going through something that maybe you're not super connected to them, but we have those people come into our lives a lot and they're asking questions. I've always reverted back to, oh, well, like Jamie Stewart went through this and this is how he dealt with it. Or like Nate and Heather went through this and this is how they dealt with it. Like you guys are friends, but like pulling from other things and not just like, well, this is what I would do. I think that carries way more weight. And I think Paul was trying to do that with Timothy in some ways. It's
That's
like,
so good.
It's not just Paul doing it. It's Timothy like Timothy's went through this too. And look how he reacted. Like, it's not just me.
Yeah.
And I think it just brings a lot more credibility to your conversations.
Yeah, that's really good.
Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome. Timothy and Paul's relationship was even deeper than a friendship. It was actually more of like a mentor relationship, or that between like a father and son. So how should Paul's investment in Timothy's life shape our willingness to pour into the next generation?
Yeah, I wanted to highlight that yesterday because Paul, who the best we know was not married, didn't have kids, and yet he poured into Timothy with the passion of a father investing in their child. And so, yeah, I asked that question, what's there's nothing more valuable than investing in the faith of the next generation. And I think his example ought to be our example, that no matter who you are, no matter who you are, even if you can't serve in our next gen environments, you can invest in our next gen environments.
Yeah.
So I just think, for the longest time as a church, what we do with our kids and what we do with our students has driven so much of what we do. I think about over at Peak Trail, how much did we invest in reconfiguring space to accommodate what was happening for our kids? And every time we did it, it would fuel more growth.
Right.
And
to the point of having to move over here.
Yeah, to the point of having to move. It was really kids that drove all of that. And it was worth it, like it upended everything and it was 100% worth it.
Yeah.
That's how it should inspire us.
Yeah.
It should make it to the place where we will do whatever it takes to invest in the next generation in their development of faith.
So you took the next generation part. I'll take the mentorship part. For me, like I can think back through my life, like even from growing up, like my father was my father and probably a mentor. And then it went to like the first senior pastor I worked for. And then over the last like 13 years, like Jamie's been that mentorship. If you don't have somebody like mentoring you, it's that same thing. Like you can't go where you haven't been. You can't take somebody where you haven't been.
Right.
Like you have to have that. Like you have to have somebody mentoring you and leading you, and it has to be somebody older than you because they just experienced so much more.
It. Yep.
And I'm noticing that as I continue to get older. But now it's like, okay, how do you like right now? My kids are kind of that field for me,
for sure.
And then obviously like some other people that way. But I just think like if you don't have somebody mentoring you, like you have to find that, and that should be like a pressure point in your life.
Yeah,
like find somebody that, and it's not just like listening to a preacher online. It's like somebody in your life that can tell you what you're doing. That hey, correct this, or hey, I went through this, and that is not. You can find that here. Like you can find that at Believers.
Yeah, I love that we have multi-generations here. Like we're talking about the next generation, but yeah, there's something so important about the previous generation too. So like I have like my core group of friends who's my peer group, but then we have some really solid friends who have gone just, ahead of us a few stages, and we turn to them for different things.
Yep.
So that's just something, I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, Jamie, you shared a quote from Martin Luther. Something along the lines of God doesn't need our good works, but our neighbor does. This is from last week, wasn't it?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm not going to say this. This was a bad question. Next question.
It was a great quote.
It was a great quote.
It was really good.
But we talked about
I just
last
thought
week.
we were going to go back to it again when I read it
fine.
earlier. Okay.
When introducing us to Epaphroditus, you pointed out the significance of being a part of Jesus's family. So how do we make sure our family doesn't, in your words, cocoon and form holy huddles?
Well, I mean, part of the way we do that is just what we did yesterday, having community events and just trying to keep facing outward towards our community. And I think as a church, we do this really well. So I think, the natural tendency is to just start cocooning and start focusing on the inside. But I think as a church, we're very intentional, and I think by and large do a really good job of being an outward-facing church. And I think even the hub is an orientation towards the outside. And, we're regularly having the community come through our space, and we're always preparing and ready to receive them.
Yeah.
So like just by doing that, it keeps us looking out, I think, so
I think it's a balance too, right? Like you have to take care of internal stuff. Like you have to make sure that you're healthy.
Yeah.
But I think if we were going to like have a fault, it would be like, oh, our fault is we are reaching out to the community more than maybe like internal stuff. Like it is important, but I that's one thing I love about Believers is like we're going to do stuff like yesterday so that people know they might not come back next Sunday, they might not come back the week after, but when something hits them in their life and their season, they're like, oh, I remember I was at that fall festival and I remember how well it was done and the love that was shown through it. That's where I need to, someone's going to be there that can help me right now.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like that is what we're doing.
Yeah. And like you said, there's a healthy balance between gathering and scattering. We have plenty of mechanisms that are designed for people to gather. Scattering is what makes us less comfortable. So that's the thing that we push more on because the gathering part is almost, it just comes naturally. It's very easy. Right. So we push a lot harder on the scatter, on the going, on the inviting, on the being love in our community because that is harder for people. So we just push on that button a little bit harder.
And a little bit more on that, like the 5 people in your life, that kind of thing. I think some people get in the mindset, they're like, well, I love Jesus and I want to be a light for him. So my 5 people are going to be people that don't know Jesus and I'm just going to dive in. And they go full bore. And I'm telling you, like, that is very difficult because all of your influence is now going to be not Christ-like in a lot of ways. And you just see that slow drift. So that's why the balance comes in. Is like, you got to have a balance there. You got to have really people that love Jesus speaking into your life too. The mentorship, all that.
It's a requirement.
So last week, Doug taught us about humility and how its presence in our lives affects relationships with others. Then this week, you shared about being on equal footing with all who are serving in the name of Jesus, and our roles don't come with rank in God's kingdom.
Yeah.
So that's pretty countercultural, even in church circles. So how can we honor the courageous among us?
Yeah. I think one of the ways that we do that is just acknowledge people who are serving regularly, So we do Nights of Impact to honor those who are serving. It's very common for, just think about yesterday's community event. Anyone who's on staff here is serving right alongside of and picking up the trash and doing all the things that anyone else is doing. So, I think we don't put ourselves on pedestals and just acknowledging the sacrifice. In many ways, it's like, we do what we do because we love this church. We love Jesus. But we also get paid. And our volunteers do not.
You guys get paid for this?
I forgot to tell you. Like volunteers who are just giving freely simply because they love Jesus and they love this church. You have to acknowledge, like, that's just a beautiful thing. And yesterday, the folks who were out there on the trunk or treat side, it was hot. They were out there. They were friendly. They were kind. They were generous. They took a lot of time to do the things that they were doing. It was pretty remarkable. None of them had to be there. They did that because they love our community and they wanted to be able to do that. And that's amazing.
I've noticed there's a shared quality in those high capacity volunteers is when you try to celebrate them or like bring any kind of attention to what they're doing, it's always humility in it. And I think like that's just like another sign of the Holy, like that's just another fruit of the Spirit, right? And I love that so much, but I also hate it sometimes because I'm like, we want to celebrate you. Like what you're doing is not normal. It's not. It's countercultural.
So grateful.
So wrapping up the message, you shared that you met 2 people that have stepped away from their church family and are facing some pretty daunting situations. I love that you pointed out that being a part of a church family won't keep us protected from life struggles, but it does let us face things with people of faith around us. So sometimes people feel alone at church, though. So what steps lead to having good relationships within our church family?
So at the risk of being the broken record, it's
too late.
It's B groups and impact teams; those are key. But I think the other key is, I know people. I've had conversations with people in the past who are doing those things and are still feeling alone. And just showing up in those environments is not enough to remedy the friendship gap that someone is experiencing, you have to step into those and start investing in the people that are around you. And you can't just wait to be
invested in.
So like, you know, it's kind of interesting to think about, like this church at Philippi, they invested sacrificially and financially in Paul. Why did they do that? Because Paul ministered to them sacrificially himself. And, you know, Timothy is there serving Paul and giving of himself selflessly. Why is he doing that? Because Paul invested in Timothy like a father would his son. So it's reciprocal. And I mean, you hate to break it down to like say, you know, you only get what you put in, but there is some truth to, like, if you're just putting yourself in circles of people hoping that someone's going to just take you under their wing and make you their best friend, chances are really good that's not going to happen. And you can be just a wall and a flower and a flower on the wall, whatever, in a B group situation, in an impact team, and you go and you do minimal and you step out, and probably not much is going to change for you. It's going to require investing on your part, and that's where it gets a little scary, because there's always, you know, the dynamic of, you know, am I going to be rejected? Is it going to go well or whatever? But you're just not going to get the relationships without the investments. So I'd say look for those opportunities to invest in people.
I think it's piggybacking on that, but mine is also just, I talked about this about showing up to B groups. It's just being consistent. Like showing up once every 2 months. Yeah. It's really tough to develop a relationship.
Yep.
Like you don't even you probably aren't even going to be a familiar face like around that point. The thing that I've seen with people and how they've gotten plugged in and how they've developed those relationships is being consistent in it. And then what you're saying, it's then opening up and not just being like superficial on the outside of stuff. Is opening up when we ask like, hey, who's got a prayer request? share a prayer request. We want to pray. It's not just like a thing we're going through, like a habit we're going through. Like be open and vulnerable, but that is difficult and that takes time. That's why you have to be consistent with being here.
And just taking baby steps. Like when you're a part of a group, baby steps. But like when you're a part of a B group, you might not be comfortable yet to like share real personal things. But if you're going through a study together, like come prepared, have answers to those, the questions that were asked, or contribute to the conversation, because that's where you'll get like comfortable with one another. And then down the road, like maybe you also don't want to share it with everybody, but you might connect with like one person where you're like, oh, we really see a lot of this the same way. So you get coffee with that person. Like it feels so daunting sometimes, I think, like you were mentioning, especially for adults to try to make friends. But when you just kind of break it down and don't try to go like, oh, I need to find my best friend right now, but just like, I need to find people I can relate with, and then take it the next step, that kind of thing.
For sure.
Well, that's all we've got time for today, guys. We are continuing our Joyride series this coming Sunday, and we hope you guys will be here. Until then, we hope that you're able to share this on your social media feeds and that you will join us at 9 or 10:45 next Sunday. We will be on YouTube by 1 o'clock, and we thank you for being here today. Go and be loved.